Namaste everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel Roots and Voices India. As you know, we are covering where clause. As of now, we have completed what is where clause, why we are using where clause, how we can use where clause, what is operator, what all type of operators are there, details of all operators. As of now, we have covered two operators, two type of operators. For an example, one is our comparison operator. So in this comparison operator, we have already covered what is equal to and how it functions. Also, we have covered a not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. We have already covered all these operators. Similarly, we have also completed what is logical operators, how and operator, or operator and not operator functioning. Today, we will see what is special operators. So in special operators, we have between operator, like operator, in operator, and is null and is not null operator. And we'll see today why we are using these operators and how we can use these operators in our query. So if you see here, this between operator, this takes if a value within a range. For an example, if I am looking for a value from 1 to 100, so it will return the value from 1 to 100. It will not exclude the start point and end point. It will give all the value that starts from, and it will return all the value till end point. Similarly, the like operator search for a specified pattern in a column. Example, a percentage. So if I'll use a percentage, then and if I'm considering the column name, then it will look for those values that starts from A. For an example, in my name column, if I am having a name called Ashok, for an example, I am saying, and if I will use this A percentage, then it will go and will check our database and it will return Ashok only, because the Ashok starts from A, and it will not see what all next string values are there. It will only check that value starts from. It starts from A. If I will use percentage A in the starting, if I will use percentage, then it will check where like the data, it will check for those names that ends with A. For an example, if you see in here, it is Namita. So in Namita, it ends with A. That means like it will return this name from our database. Similarly, if I use in, so in is like looking for those values that I have specified in our query in a form of list. For an example, if I am looking for a value that is like ID 01, 04 and 06. If I look for these three value and I am using a list and using in, that means like it will return all these three values. So, and if I want from 1 to 7, at that time I can use between operator. Similarly, if I want to use the like operator, that means like I can use with this string operator, where like if I'm starting the name from n, then I can use n percentage, and if I'm saying like the name ends with a, then I can use percentage a. So in that way it will return Namita, for an example. And if I'm using percentage of finds, so at that point it will. So if I will go and see, okay, in is done. So if I go to is null and is not null, so it basically looks for the empty values or null values. So if I'll go to our database and I'll check for the sales column, and I am using is null, that means like it will return all those value from that, like it will return all the records where sales column value is null. Similarly, if I use is not null, that means like it will go and will check and will return all the value where sales column having some value. Similarly, if I'll go to here and I will check like what is wildcard. So these percentage are called, percentage and underscore is called as wildcard. So basically, the SQL wildcards are special characters used with the like operator in a where clause to perform pattern-based searches in the string data. They allow for flexible filtering when the exact value is not known. So when we are using this like operator and the wildcard, so for an example, we don't know what all values are there within that column. At that point, what we can do? If I'm looking for a specific pattern, at that time I can go for the wildcard. Okay. So what percentage sign does? It represents 0, 1 or multiple characters. Similarly, underscore it represents a single character. We'll see doing practical how these things are functioning. So if I'll go to the SQL database, what I can check over here. So I am using our training database. So I'll select training database. We have already created table and also we have ingested the data. Also we have checked like other operators, how they are functioning. So now we'll check the operators we are looking for, like the special operators. So first operators we am going to discuss, that is between operator. So what between does, it always returns the value for a range. So it will include the start point and the end point. For an example, if I am looking for the ID value, then it will include from 01 to 07. But before, like also, if you can argue, like before also we are using the same thing by using the greater than equal to and less than equal to. But so when we use these things, so we have to use two separate conditions using and we have to take the sales column two times, like sales greater than equal to 50,000 and sales greater than equal to 50,000. Like that we have to use, like this we have to use. Two times we have to write. For an example, I can show you here. We'll see doing practical over here. So if I use the comparison operator using the greater than and less than condition, then what all outputs we are getting? So for an example, if I will do select star from calendar sales where sales greater than 50,000 and sales less than 80,000. For an example, this is the range I am taking. And if I will execute this query using the comparison operators, so here I am getting 80,000. If I will execute this query, and so what all values we are getting? We are getting 3 line items. But like the values are 70,000, 78,000 and 52,000. And here I have to write two separate conditions to separate this like the range. And if I will and I want to include the 50,000 and 80,000 in our query, then I have to use greater than equal to and less than equal to. So if I'll execute query, then it will include the 80,000 and 50,000. You can see over here. So if I don't want to use two separate conditions, what I can do now, I can use select star from the calendar table where sales, I'll use between operator here, between 50,000 and 80,000. So if I will give this range, so it will include 50,000, it will include 80,000 as well. So if I'll execute this query, if you see, it is returning all these 5 line items. That means like why we are using this between operator? Between operator always returns the value for a range and it will include the start point and end point as well. Similarly, if I want to use the like operator, so what we can say, why we are using like operators? To get the pattern matching. So what we'll do here, so we'll check like how like operator function. Select star from calendar sales where full name like what I am doing here. So as I am writing for a string, that means like it should be written within a single quote. So what I am doing, I just want to see what are names that start from N. So I'll use N and percentage. I'll use N and percentage. And if I'll execute this query, so what it will return? So here, if you see here, two names that starts from N. One is Namita and one is for Nick. So instead of that, if I'll use like it's end with A. So I'll say that data that ends with A. If I'll execute this query, it is only returning Namita because this name only ends with A. So similarly, if I want to check that the name having MIT in between, so I will use MIT and percentage. So wherever it will find MIT consecutively, then it will return the value. So here I can see MIT. So I can go and check for some other things. So if I want to check SH, so if I want to check SH for an example, in between wherever it will find SH, then it will return those values. So if I'll execute this query, so it is returning two things. One is Rakesh and another one is Kailash. SH are the two things over here. So it is returning in that way. So, and if I want to use the underscore and percentage, so what I can do here, select star from calendar cells where full name so I want to use underscore, okay, then I want to use A, to select star from calendar where full name like A. So if I'll execute this query, if you can see here, so it is giving those records that at the second position wherever A is there and some values are available after A as well. So you can see here these many things. So if I will remove this percentage here and I will execute this query, so it will return no value because there is no two character names are not there. For that reason, it is not returning any value. Okay. So I think it is clear now how we are using these like operators. So if I want to check how in operator functions, so what I can do is select star from the calendar cells where ID in, then I will be taking 01, 05, 04 and 07. I'll close the list. I will execute this query and it will return these 1, 4 and 7 only. So in this way only we'll check. So for an example, we don't want the range and we want some specific IDs. At that point, we can go for the in operator. So in a lot of places we can use in operators, and going forward also we'll check what all scenarios are there where we can use these operators, where we can use in operators, where we can use sales operators, where we can use these comparison operators. So already we are discussing where sales is greater than, where sales is less than. For an example, if I want a range where I don't want to use multiple conditions, using a single condition, I want to check the range, or I want to pattern matching. At that point, I can go with the like. And similarly, if I want some specific IDs or specific characters, some specific values, at that time I can go for in. So similarly, I want to check the null and is null and is not null. So if I'll go for the select star from the table calendar cells, and if I'll use the where clause, and I am using here sales is null. So if I'll use this query, so if I'll execute this query, so it is returning no value because in our table there is no such line item where sales value is null. So that's why it is returning no records. So example, similarly, if I'll use is not null, that means what it is saying. So it should look for those values where there are some values available in the sales column. So if you see here, so we are getting all the 7 records because in our sales column, there are some values. Okay. So for that reason, it is like if I'll use is null, then it will look for like those cell column value where like that column value is null. And if you use cells is not null, then it will reverse that one and it will search for the column where there are some values available. So in that way, it will check the database and will return the values. I hope I have covered the special operators, and also we have covered what is wildcard. So also going forward, we'll discuss how to delete the table, how to truncate a table, how to drop a table. So so for all those things, we'll have a separate session, and we'll have a separate session where like we'll discuss what is the difference between delete, truncate, and drop. So this is like the most asked question in the interviews, like when it comes to what is the difference between delete, drop, and truncate. So we'll discuss that concept properly. We'll cover each and every point so that there will be no doubt. And please watch the video, and if you are having any doubt, please put it in our comment. So I will go through those comments and I'll try to cover in our next session. So thanks for watching the video. Take care.